Hey, welcome back to Creating Hanley, everybody. My name is Kimberly, your host here at Creating Hanley, and this is our block of the month. This turkey, the Dresden plate turkey. So let me show you up close here. I didn't sew everything down yet, so as you can see, it's still a work in progress. But this part I just glued with just some, stick glue, disappearing stick glue. Nothing major. If you wash this, that glue will come out, it'll dissolve, wash away. But I just put a couple of, stripes behind this just to hold it in place. And you can see I got the batting here. So I'm just diving right in, guys. Welcome back to Creating Hanley. This is our block of the month for November 2024 is when I am recording this. And you can see that I already made all these Dresdens. They are good to go. Put them together in the previous video, the one that I filmed right before this one. I showed you how to make Dresdens. I showed you how to put this together. I showed you how to cut these. I showed you how to make a well, not really how to make a template, but I did a cardboard one, and then from this to this, it's not super difficult, it's relatively easy. And then when you sew them all together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance like that, you can get something cool like this. Now if I were to continue this along, I would make a full circle. So let's show you down here. If I just put like all of these together, this would make a complete circle. Let's see, yeah. So see, Dresden, and it would make a complete circle. And then you can put your circle right in the center, and then you can get like sunflowers or, wreath, or you could do a Christmas wreath, and, what, I don't know, circles, whatever. I did one with red, white, and blue one year. Yeah, a really large one. I actually did a really large one, red, white, and blue. So it was a tablecloth. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. But anyway, this is what we made last video. I want to show you, this is how it's coming together. So I just did I'll show you up close here, just a blanket stitch all the way around, and I did it on the machine, but I did it very slow. I did not like zoom around here. I did this one stitch at a time. I went super slow just to follow the edge really close on this circle, because I wanted to make sure that this was down pretty, sturdy. And then I'm going to do the same thing all along here. So I'm going to do this blanket stitch all along here. Blanket stitch all the way around, and then end right here. And then I'm not probably going to do a blanket stitch, but I'll just stitch all the way around this little turkey's feet and legs, and then I'll stitch around his body, and maybe I'll stitch in his beak too, just to make sure that's all sewn down. Now you can see I just put a little glue on the back. This is just one layer of fabric right here. And this template, I don't have a template. I just hand drew this. You can see it's not perfect at all. I just kind of like made a snowman drawing. But let me show you what I was working on in the beginning. Like this, I was working on this in the beginning, and then this, and then I cut it a little bit bigger, and then I was like, no, that's not gonna work. First of all, I drew on the pretty side, and I would recommend drawing on the back side so that when you cut it, you don't, or if you make a mistake, or you cut it outside the lines, you don't see this. Now, if you wash it, this may come out, because I just used pencil. You can use a disappearing ink if you want to. But I just wanted to show you this is a mistake that I made, and it came out like super weird and wonky anyway, so I'm not going to use this. I redid it, and I'm going to use this one. This guy isn't exactly perfect either, but that's what I did. So I just hand drew it. I do not have a template. I just kind of like made an idea in my head, like I wanted to do a snowman. So it's, a big circle on the bottom, and then maybe a little one on the top. And I softened the curves right here. And then I just cut a little triangle for the beak out of some scrap. So that is what I did there. The legs, again, you can see I did not do anything like super artistic. I just, drew something kind of funny for the legs and feet for this little turkey guy. Now, so this is going to be bigger than your normal 12.5 inch or 12-inch block. So if you see here, this is, now if I get my 12.5 inch measuring tool here, this is actually 13 inches. So this is 12.5 inches from here to tip. From this side to this side is 12.5 inches. So this is another 1/2 inch. So this is 13 inches deep this way. And then, oh, I can't remember what I did this way. This is, let's get it. I'm measure it real quick. It's 16 inches. So this is a little bit small for a, not a tablecloth, a placemat. It's a little bit small for a placemat for Thanksgiving. So I was thinking I would make 2 of these and have 2 identical placemats for Thanksgiving. Or not identical, but homemade, pretty similar, because they're not going to be exactly identical. And in fact, I kind of did that on purpose because I'm going to change up the feathers here. We're going to do this today. So it's not identical, but it's handmade and it's the same fabric, and you know what I mean, right? So anyway, if you want to, and I just found this scrap fabric. I just had like a couple of pieces of this fabric, so I cut it to that's the size I could cut it, and so that's what it is. But a placemat is between like 12 and 14 inches by 16 and 20 inches. So depending on your table setting and whatnot, or how it looks on your table, or the motif that you're using, it would depend on how big or small you want your placemat to be. So that's what I'm doing with this. Now, if you want this to be your block of the month, you don't have to make it this big. But as you can see, there's not a whole lot around left over on the sides here. On this side, it's only like 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches, something like that. So there's going to be some, 1/4 inch at least is going to be lost, or maybe 1/2 inch on each side is going to be lost in the seam allowance. So if you wanted to, you can put a fancy border around using these same colors or coordinating colors, or even contrasting colors if you wanted to. And then you can do that all the way around, however you wanted to do that. If you wanted to make it fancy, you could make like piano keys, or just scrappy, or however you wanted to do that. Just like maybe plain, strips, whatever works for you and your situation. But this is what I did, and I'm probably not going to put a colorful border around it, but what I will do is put a separate backing on. And so I'm quilting this way, and then the back will be different. And then I'm going to add what's that called? The finishing piece. Oh my gosh, my brain, it just went out of my head. So anyway, this now I can't even find it. Oh yeah, this piece right here. So happy Halloween, guys. This border piece right here. Oh, what is this called? You guys. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do with this. It's not sashing. Okay, whatever. But anyway, let's get back to this. So I'm going to set this aside. And, one thing I wanted to mention. See, the body of my turkey is really close to the background color. So they're both in the cream family here. The light, very neutral family. So I found another fabric. This brown, it looks kind of like camouflage, actually. So I'm going to use this for the turkey. So I'm going to use just a lid off of a glass jar that I have in my kitchen. So this is all I'm using as my template. So find whatever template that you want. You can make it bigger, smaller, whatever works. And then, again, don't put it on the pretty surface. Put it on the back side of your fabric and find whatever utensil you want to use. And then draw a circle. Try not to get the fabric bunched up in there, but you just draw a circle just like that. Now, I'm going to again show you what I did. On this piece, I did not leave this edge raw around here. Now, if you cut your fabric out of this, you know, if you cut your circle out of fabric and then just put it on here, you're going to have a raw edge, very similar to this guy, to this and this. You're going to have that raw edge. And that's fine. If you want to do that, cool. There's nothing wrong with that. I, however, do not have a raw edge. I made the circle a little bit bigger. When I cut this out, I cut it a little bit bigger. I did it the most difficult way possible. There are many simpler ways to do that, but I cut this out a little bit bigger, and then I cut little slits all the way around. And then I cut a piece of batting to the same size, and then I flipped. So what I did was like I flipped these edges all in towards the center, like so. And I used my little glue stick and I glued those down. Guys, that is the most, it's a way, but it's the most difficult way. So I would recommend not doing that if you want to save your insanity. Save your sanity. So what you could do is just leave a raw edge and then still do the blanket stitch all the way around, and that's just fine. You could also turn your batting backwards. Now, I'm not going to do it right, but you can turn your batting backwards, sew it together, and then cut a little slit in the center, and then turn it inside out. And that is another way. And I did a video on that last year, I think. Last year or maybe 2 years ago on how to do that method. So it's in my, somewhere it's in my channel. So you can check that out. I believe it was on a sunflower. Okay, so enough talking already. Let's get into it, right? So, where is my turkey tail in progress? So, I already know I'm going to add this to this side. So, what I do is line that up just like that. And then for this one, I'm going to make a new Dresden. So I'm going to, just like I did in the previous video, put these corners together, make sure this is lined up, and then make sure this is halved. So just like that. Now I don't have to fold this if I don't want to, but the fold actually helps you align this sew line. So when this is folded in half, you get that crease, you can tell that this line is exactly in the same line as the crease, and you know that this angle and this angle will be identical or really close. If you're off just a little bit, that doesn't matter too much. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to change my stitch length because I was doing a different stitch. So now I'm going to come back here. I'm going to take you to the machine and 1/4 inch seam allowance straight across. Oh yeah, I was going really slow. And then I back stitch on the fold part to make sure it's locked in, just like that. And then I trim off a little bit. Don't trim into the thread here. You want to trim off a little bit at an angle so that when you flip this over, you will move that fabric out of the way so that you have a point, a nice point right there. Now, I did not plan this. I could probably never plan this, but the point is right in the center of these two lines on this plaid fabric. Isn't that pretty cool? And it's almost the same as on this side too, almost. I did not plan this, but that's pretty cool. Okay, now, if you want to, you can hot iron this down in place. I think my iron shut off. It did. So I'm just going to take this to the machine. We're going to put this on. Quarter-inch seam allowance. And then when I get to the top, I want to back stitch so that I hold that fabric in place and hold the stitch in place. All right, like so. And then when you open it up, it's perfect. And then what I do is when I iron these seam allowances, I make sure that I iron all the seam allowances in the same direction. So it just makes it a little bit easier for me. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Add this to here, pretty sides together. Take this to the machine, of course, quarter-inch seam allowance, back stitch on that fold. So everything stays, whoops, stays in place. Okay, that's gonna be a little bit weird, I think, because I stitched that a little wonky. All right, like that, there we go. Okay, and then, so again, I would put the seam allowance this way to make sure everything goes in the same direction. That wants to go that way. Anyway, okay, so now, how many of these Dresdens do I have? So this was a 5-inch, remember from the last video, this was a 5-inch charm square. So a 5-inch square, and I used this Dresden tool, and I aligned the 5-inch. So let me get the fabric for you. So here's the charm square, and this is a 5-inch square, so I just aligned this edge and the 5-inch mark right here. So it fits on there perfectly. Trim that, flip your template around, and then there's going to be enough fabric on this side that you can trim, and you get two 5-inch Dresdens from one 5-inch square. Now I have a bunch here all stacked together, so my blade is sharp. I can cut through, what is this, 5? I can cut through all this fabric, just making sure that everything is stacked perfectly and that you go slow when you do your trim. Switch it. And then, so if you stack 5 together, now you'll have 10 Dresdens. So you'll have 10 of these ready to go. And then you simply do your sew across all of them, flip them around so that now they are, oh no, where's my complete ones? So now they are complete like this. And then you just saw what I did. You put them all together like this. And because the bottom is shorter than the top, or the bottom is more narrow than the top, they form a circle. So they start to form a circle like so. And then here on this raw edge, what I do, now normally you would make a circle all the way around and there would not be a raw edge. But for the turkey, you want to fold this raw edge under, so that, and I do it about a 1/4 inch, so that this is a folded edge, not a raw edge. So that makes everything look really neat and finished, okay? Now, you don't have to make a turkey. You can do the same thing in like teal and aqua green colors and make this a peacock. If you wanted to do, now I live in Pittsburgh, so I'm going to use Steeler colors. You could do your like favorite sports team and do it in sports team colors. You know, you don't have to have a turkey. You can do whatever you want. Just make it a bird. Now, if you finish this circle, you could do it in sunshine. Like here's a sunflower, so you could do sunflower, you could do sunshine colors. You can do purple and orange for Halloween, you know, whatever you want to do. In fact, there's a way to make these into looking like coffins, and it's pretty cool. So, yeah, so I'm just going to end it there because this is getting a little long, but I showed you how to make these, and then I showed you how to draw your circle on fabric with whatever template circle you want to use. I just used a lid from a jar. And then I told you how I made this. You just take some scrap fabric, whatever, this happens to be scrap fabric left over, and it's longer than, you know, wide. And so you can use whatever color you want. And then I just kind of drew it. And you can see I made some mistakes. So this was, you know, not the first time. And then you just take some more scrap fabric. So, like, here's some scrap fabric left over from the Dresden cuts. And then you can either cut your beak from like this corner, or you can cut your beak from this edge, you know, whatever you want to do. And then this is what I used for the legs. You just cut the legs off and just draw, you know, cut some little zigzags in there, some serrated edge, and then use those for the legs. Boom. And then use your glue, place it first, place it however you want on the background fabric. And then I already have my batting attached to this. So it should be, if it's placemat, you really want 100% natural, all cotton, because polyester is going to melt. So, you know, when you're putting hot plates on it and stuff, it might melt. So you want to be careful about the batting that you use. And then you make your sandwich. You put your backing on. So I'm going to actually quilt the top of this first with the batting attached. That was my phone, sorry guys. And then I'm gonna, once that's quilted, and then I add the backing, and then, you know, maybe I can quilt a little bit more around it to make sure the backing is attached. And then I put my border on, or I put my the finishing touch. I still don't remember what this is called, this edging. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna, as soon as I stop the film, I'm gonna remember what this is called. But you guys, bias tape. Yeah, anyway, that you put this along the outside, and then you're done. There you go. And then you have a placemat. But this is definitely our block of the month. So I know that was crazy talking a lot, not a whole lot of showing, but there we go. You guys have fun making this. It's really fun, and it's easy to make these Dresdens, and this is actually comes together kind of quick. You can do it with your kids if you want for a holiday project. So happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you on the next video. Enjoy the beautiful weather if you haven't. Be grateful. I'm so thankful that you guys are here following me. Have a great day. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.